Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Life and Service Podcast, where we dig into every aspect of military life that we can think of and the experiences of our service members in hopes that we can both educate the civilian community on why we respect them so much and help some of those service members still struggling, give them something to listen to. Now, today I'm sitting here at my house because I am joined by a veteran named Marvin Pearson, who has a unique story that so many can actually relate to. He was gay while he was serving in the military. He still is gay, by the way, but he, while he was a service member, he was gay during Ask, Don't Tell, and afterwards. So he's actually joining me via Zoom, which is why you see my laptop right here. Marvin, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Adam?
Not bad. I'm glad you were able to join us today. Thank you for coming on to share your story because I think it can really help a lot of service members that might be struggling through some of the experiences you struggled with while you were serving. So we'll dig into that a little bit. But first, where'd you grow up?
My name is Marvin Pearson once again, and I was born in Stamford, Connecticut. Both of my parents, my mom's name is Dalton Pearson, and my dad's name is Roy Pearson. They were both born in Kingston, Jamaica.
What was it like having parents from Jamaica?
That in itself was an experience. Because I had known that I knew that I was going to, like, I was gay by like around the age of, I'd say about 10, 11. I knew something wasn't right. So I had to I came out to my parents when I was 16. So before I came out to them, I had to basically build the strength to be like, okay, if I come out to both my parents, they may both basically disown me. Honestly, I felt like my father already did, but so I was already comfortable with that. But it was just my mom because I felt like my mom was my rock and I gained so much strength from her and watching her work two jobs and the struggle and everything like that that I've seen. I had to come to a point where I was comfortable with that, and I did. And when I did, of course, my mom accepted. Well, she told me I needed to pray, and my dad we had like a big altercation, so to speak, a verbal altercation, but it took him about like 18 years to really accept it.
Has he accepted it now?
Yes, he has, because really I don't think I mean he's seen my success. So I think that's something that has helped him because he has something to say. Like if I was somebody who my life didn't amount to anything, then he probably wouldn't want anything to do with me. But since he can be like, yes, this is my son and my son is gay, but he's also been in the military. He also built his house. He also has his degrees, he also has a good job or whatever, then I feel like that has helped.
Showing that it didn't impact your life in a whole other, kind of way. Help.
Right. Because I used, even though I felt like to be honest, I felt like my parents they didn't really teach me things that they should have taught me. I felt like they taught me, but it was indirectly. Like I viewed my mom and I pulled, things that I wanted to learn from my mom in terms of her drive and her determination and, her work ethic and things. And then I pulled things from my dad, but it was things that, you know, I was like, okay, I have to treat people better when I get older. I have to, express that, not be afraid to express myself, not be afraid to tell my friends, that, I care about them and that, I have love for them. And, it taught me so much when I got older because when I was in the military, I experienced things like people being suicidal and I was able to talk people out of suicide. And it's like it came to a point where a lot of people was like they were putting me with people or making me befriend people that were had suicidal tendencies or was not accepting. It's fresh out of basic training and was not accepting, the military, how the military lifestyle is too well. They would basically put me with them so that way I can kind of coach them and just let them know that everything is going to be okay.
So, what inspired you to join the army?
Well, actually, my sister did because my sister was the first person to join the military out of my family. I believe she was a cargo specialist. And it's like I saw the way that she lived and how she was able to provide for her family because she has two kids And it's like I was trying to, once I turned 18, I left Connecticut and I moved to Virginia to stay with my sister. And I was basically trying to do my own thing in terms of getting a job and going to college. And I saw how hard that was to do. So I was like, I'm just going to go into the military so that way I could have a stable place to live and I can still pursue my education. And I could have something, I could have the benefits and like and everything like that and pursue what I want to pursue.
So, what year was it that you joined the military?
I joined in 2006.
And you said you served till 2014?
Yes, that's correct. I served for, let me see, 6 years was active and I think 2 years was reserve. Yeah, 6 years was active and 2 years was reserved. And so while I was in, I went to my first duty station was in Yongsan, Korea. Then I went to Fort Drum, New York. Then I went to Fort Hood, Texas. And then when I was in the reserves, I was at Tallahassee, Florida.
Okay. So you kind of went home a little bit for the reserves.
Yes. Well, no. I mean,
Oh,
I do have an aunt that stays in West Palm Beach, but most of my family was in the Connecticut area.
I thought you had said you moved with your sister in Florida.
Well, no, not in Florida. She was in Newport News at the time, in Newport News, Virginia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So sorry for getting that wrong.
Oh,
Uh,
that's okay.
so what was your MOS?
I was a 42 Alpha or a human resource specialist while I was in, and I'm still a human resource specialist to this day, working for the government. And when I was in, I was predominantly doing awards like the Purple Hearts and the Army Commendation Medals and things like that for the soldiers.
Something most service members will tell you they don't join to earn.
Right. And that was me being an HR specialist, and I was openly it was don't ask, don't tell, but I was the type of person where if you ask, I'm gonna tell it, right? so, so me being openly gay, even when it was the don't ask, don't tell thing, and then me being in HR and having to do awards and stuff was kind of because it's like even with I was afraid to do things like I was afraid to go to sick call. I was afraid to if I get injured, I was afraid to report it really because I was like, I don't want everybody to look down on me and even think lesser than me because I'm a male in the HR field and things like that. So that kind of like affected me because I didn't feel like people were like bullying me, but I just felt like it was just like kind of like a stigma on me where I'm supposed to be doing this because I'm in the military and you're gay. You can't be it like it's feminine if you go to sick call. Like you have to tough it out. Like I was always going to like tough mutter competitions just to basically show like my coworkers and things like that that I could get down with the get down too. Like if we deploy or something like that, and we're in a situation where it's required for me to fire my weapon, I'm gonna fire my weapon. Like you
Yeah.
don't have to worry. Like I always try to make people feel like comfortable and safe and protected like around me when I was in. That was like the big thing for me when I was in the military.
Well, so your MOS was HR. Now, a lot of people, when they think of a service member, they think of, an Air Force pilot, a Navy sailor,
Mhm.
an Army Ranger.
Yeah.
There are a lot of MOSs that are very underappreciated, but just as necessary like HR. So dig into a little bit about what your job was in HR and why it was so important.
Well, I felt like I mean, it was needed, really, because I would process the awards too, but another thing that I would do is I would also do people's ID cards, like when we were deployed and things like that. And if ID card machines was like broken in another fob, they would send me over to the fob to fix it and then send me back. So sometimes they would wake me up at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning because like a general, a 3-star general would need another ID card and then I would train people, of course, but then they're like, oh, we don't want it done by them. We want it done by you because you're the professional. So they would wake me up out my sleep to do it. So, and then it's like my job, even though, they say that, the art, it's just a 9 to 5, it's like a 9 to 5 job, basically. It was never a 9 to 5 job to me when I was deployed. It was just you work until you're done. So, yeah, I mean, like, and even cooks and things like that, they always get like, oh, their job is like not nothing really. But when we're deployed and you see them having to set up the tent and everything like that, and work from sun up to sundown to make sure that everything is good and all the soldiers is fed. It's like I give them so much respect, and I give a lot of people so much respect because it's like when we're deployed, all you have is each other, and you need each other to survive. So it doesn't really matter your job title. I think all the jobs are important in the U.S. military.
Well, I mean, even when you're just at your duty station, say Fort Cavazos, which was Fort Hood,
Hmm.
those cooks, they miss the holidays. A
All
lot of
right,
soldiers get to go home and get leave time. A lot of these soldiers have to stay there and make sure you're fed for Christmas and Thanksgiving. They have to get up at 3
correct.
o'clock in the morning and where you get to sleep in, in comparison. There's a lot of underappreciated, undervalued MOSs in the military, and it doesn't matter what branch you're in. They all
Mhm.
you need it for every branch. Um, so why'd you choose HR in the first place?
Because I feel like my purpose in life is to help motivate and inspire people. And I love customer service because I just love to help people. So HR for me was just a way of doing something that's geared towards my purpose every single day. And like I'm still in HR now. Like from I open my eyes, I feel like I'm helping people because I have tenants in my house and stuff. So it's like I just look at HR as something that it's a good way to help people like around the world. So that's why I chose to do HR. And it was actually the first thing that I picked when I was looking at the list of jobs was HR and customer service because I was doing that since I was doing customer service position since I was like 15 years old. So yeah.
Okay. So let's start digging into your experience having, decided to join the military when you had already come out. Was that a scary thought of joining the military knowing you were gay?
I mean, not really, honestly, because I was kind of prepared for it because of, my family and all of my family being Jamaican and stuff. And I got to see, the homosexuality, like the homophobia and everything like that. But it's just that I wasn't prepared for different ways where it would come at me in the military. Like I remember one time when I was in Iraq, which it was like 120 degrees. I was taking a shower and I got out the shower because it was so hot that I just put my clothes on soaking wet and I just like got out the shower and stuff. And then I had a chief come to me and she told me that, somebody was saying that they didn't feel comfortable taking a shower when I would take in a shower because they thought that I would look at them or something like that. And I was just like, and then I had people try to talk to me that, that was married and had wives and kids and things like that. And it always happened when I was deployed. I had people knock on my door like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and try to do stuff. So it was just a lot. It was like all over in the military when the whole don't ask, don't tell thing was was active or whatever. And I was always the type of person where I was like, I'm not gonna tell, but if you ask me, I'm gonna tell it. Because I'm like, it's like I don't care. I've always been this way. This is the way that I am, and it's not something that I'm going to change. And it's like, people have started like looking past how I was and just like liking me as a person, and that's all I wanted was for people to look past you know my sexual preference and to just appreciate the person that I am, because I was like, I think that I am a wonderful person, and it's like I see my value and I know my self-worth now. Um but I didn't always, because I've had people do things like try to manipulate me or try to use me for what they can get out of me because I'm such a good natured and a pure-hearted person. So it caused me to just develop and be a stronger person. And the military has has taught me to interact with like a lot of people and to know how people are, and it has taught me to adapt to different people and to adapt to different situations. And that's like one of the biggest things that I pull from the military, because I was like, I had to get out of the state of mind that everybody does not have your best interests at heart. And it's like me going into the military, I was thinking, oh, I'm just gonna spread peace and love and joy and happiness. And everything is just gonna be, all peachy clean. And, I know it's people that's not gonna like me, but that's fine. And I'm just gonna be, the old happy-go-lucky loving person. But it's like it's people that is like they will try to manipulate you. They will try to and hurt people tend to hurt people. That's another thing that I have learned. So it's like I had to develop like a thicker skin when I was in the military.
Okay. So did you find it harder to serve, or that you had to deal with more homophobia or discomfort during Don't Ask, Don't Tell, or after, because you served in both scenarios?
Mhm. To be honest, I didn't, the whole homosexuality thing, the homophobia, it really didn't bother me because more people liked me than didn't like me. And it's like, I think it was because the way that I carry myself, like you can tell, like when I was in the military, I thought that you could tell how I was by looking at me, but you could also tell that I didn't care whether you liked it or you didn't like it. I am the way that I am, and I'm going to give you a fair opportunity to decide if you want to interact with me or if you don't want to interact with me. But at the end of the day, it's not going to change anything for me.
Now, you're not the only soldier who or service member who's gay,
Mm.
right? Or I'm sure you weren't the only one in your unit.
I've met several.
Did did you see other people that were either cautious or afraid to admit it while they were serving, or struggled a little more in you because you were out, you were proud,
hmm
you didn't give
And
a
I did, and then
right?
it was higher enlisted. Like it was chiefs, it was majors, it was like it was higher enlisted. And then I had people come to me and they're like, you kind of inspire me because you're yourself. You don't let anything change the way that you are, and that's not something that I can do. And I have people that's still in the military come to me and say the same thing. So that means a lot to me because I was like, once I was a teenager and I decided how I was going to be, I was like, that's just something that, I have to accept. If you don't accept it, then that's fine. But I'm like, I accept it. And it's like self-love is a very important thing. And I was like, the military was something that taught me how important, self-love is because if you do not have it, then your time could be very, very difficult. Just put it that way in the
So
military. And you,
what are some of the things that you saw, because there's always horror stories out there, right?
Mhm.
Uh,
I've almost died like 2 times, and I've almost killed somebody once. 'Cause the first when I was in Afghanistan, I remember I was going to a bazaar, and there was a rocket. A rocket came and went over, and I saw the mushroom cloud like go up into the air, and that was about I would say probably like 50 feet away from me. And then the intercom thing, the siren went off or whatever. That was like one event, and it was another event where I was smoking. I started smoking when I was in the military, which was something that I said I would never do because I saw my father do it and it used to disgust me because the walls was yellow. So, but I got tired of everybody in my office would smoke. I was the only one that didn't smoke, and everybody would always go outside and leave me in the building. So that way I had
you
to
gave in to peer pressure.
you're right. So I was like, I'm just gonna go outside with you guys. And I just came out there, everybody was smoking, and they're like, what are you doing out here, or whatever? And I was like, you know what, give me a cigarette. And then someone gave me a cigarette, and then they went back inside. And then when I was out there, I saw another rocket go over the bee hut, and I didn't see where it impacted, but it went off, and then the dang on siren went off. And then it was another time where I was pulling guard duty and they said over the radio there was like it's three insurgents in all black and they was like be on the lookout for them. And it was pitch black. I had night vision goggles on, and I was in the turret. And I remember I had to go to the bathroom, so I had like a replacement go from the passenger seat to the turret, and I was about to walk to go to the porta potty. And as soon as I opened the door, one of the local nationals, the Afghani local nationals, was there, and they had on the black Kevlar and the black vest, and they had on all black, and they fit the description of what I just heard in the radio. And I switched my weapon to semi. And I put it like right here in their chest, and they was like, "Hey, it's G, don't shoot." It was like, "Don't shoot, don't shoot." And that kind of messed me up for about like I would say probably like about 3 days. I was like, because they was doing the laundry, like they used to do our laundry and things. So I was just like, I just almost came out of the turret, and then I just almost like killed someone, and that was around the time when someone had went off of they went off of they crossed the wire, they went off the post, and they got captured and kidnapped, and it was on the news all over the place. So it was around that time, so I was like I was kind of messed up for about like 4 days after that. But yeah, we've had I've seen someone, because I used to do mail too when I was in HR. So I've seen somebody like ground guide a LMTV, and they walked over a pressure sensitive IED, and nothing happened to them. But when the LMTV went over the IED, it caused the LMTV to like flip over on top of the ground guide and split them in half and kill them instantly. So it's like I've seen some stuff. So like it's even no matter what your job title is, because of me working in HR, I was staying with like the generals and the majors and stuff in the good area or whatever when I was deployed. But it's like I still seen stuff. Like we were still attacked. As soon as I got off of the plane, um, within the next 10 minutes, I say we got attacked. I didn't even know where the bunkers were that you're supposed to run in. Like I didn't know where none of that stuff was. And it was hot. Like it was if you turn your oven on to like 125 degrees and stick your head in, that's what it felt like when I got off of the plane. And it's like we didn't know where to run. And then when they didn't have a chance to give us our safety brief or nothing. As soon as we got off the plane, we got attacked.
So,
So
how many times did you deploy?
I deployed two. I went to Iraq, and I went to Afghanistan.
What would you say was the harder deployment?
Afghanistan by far, because we were getting attacked like every 2 weeks. Like in Afghanistan. It wasn't like that with Iraq, but Afghanistan, it was like we was getting attacked left and right. And then I lost people that I was friends with before I deployed. I lost two people. Um, and it's like, even to this day, it's like I'll go see people post something, and they'll be like RIP such and such. And I would be like, I didn't even know that they passed away when I was in Afghanistan or whatever, like even to this day. Because that happened about like I said 3 years ago. And I remember that I'd be hanging out with the person, we'd be going to the DFAC together and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's just memories like that, and even when somebody who's like thanks me for my service, like they'll be like, "Oh, thank you for your service and things." It's like I'll smile and I'll say, "Oh, you're welcome" and stuff, but it always makes me think of the stuff that I seen in Afghanistan and my friends that passed away and things like that.
Yeah, I know you watched our last episode, and he kind of dug into it, how he feels about people thanking him for his service. How does that make you feel? I know you kind of just mentioned it, but
I mean, it's good, but it always makes me actually, think of the stuff that I went through and how, it makes me kind of happy though, because I'm glad that, I'm very strong-willed, and I have a good mindset on my like and a good head on my shoulders, because a lot of people wouldn't be mentally where I am that would have went through and seen all of the stuff that I've seen. So it's like a double-edged sword. Like I'm proud that I did it, but at the same time, it's like I'm not too proud about the stuff that I had to see. But then at the same time, I'm proud that I'm strong enough to be able to take and tolerate the stuff and not let it affect me mentally.
so A lot of people would think that, because you're gay, your experience as a soldier was different than theirs. But from what you're telling me is you experience the same thing every other soldier experiences. Some deployments
Right.
rough, some that were easier than others, you know, discrimination. And so digging into the discrimination part, not only were you gay, you're black.
Hmm.
Did that play a factor in your experience while serving? The fact that you weren't just gay, but you were a gay black man?
I don't think my this it was more I think it was more so the fact that I was gay than the fact that I was black. But it's weird because I tend to know how to turn negative situations into positive situations. And it's like I feel like since I can do that, it's like God puts me in situations where it's beneficial to people. Like yes, I was gay, but I was a lot of people that wouldn't come to somebody to talk because they didn't want to express their emotions and their feelings. They would come to me to like vet and come to me to talk. Like I remember one time when I was in Fort Hood, I was like in front of this chapel and I was just in my car and then a random person just came up to me and introduced themselves and just started talking about like their relationship and their marriage and the fact that they're about to go through a divorce and how they want to harm themselves and things like that. And it's just like people felt like I felt like I was such a welcoming and a good person, like a kind of a like an inviting person that people it made people comfortable with expressing themselves to me. And it's like I was kind of like a therapist for a lot of people when I was in the military. And even now I was thinking of going to school for psychology because because it still happens. It's like people get real comfortable around me and they express themselves to me. So it's like it wasn't I wasn't even though I was homosexual, I was not going through I didn't have a lot of like hate, like that much hate. It was more so, okay, he is that way. Like I'm just gonna leave him alone and I'm gonna worry about myself or oh, he is that way. But I wonder why females think this way. Let me ask him. Maybe he could give me some advice because since he's gay, maybe he can tell me things from a female's perspective or whatever. So
Not
I was getting people.
necessarily true, though.
It's not, but that's what it was. So I would have like a lot of guys coming up to me like, "Hey, my wife is acting like this or whatever. Why do you think she's treating me this way?" And I said this, and it's like I was kind of like the mediator in a lot of situations, and even in my personal life with like with my sister, if she gets in a relationship and it's kind of toxic or she's going through something, it was like I always would call myself the glue of the family because I'm always the middle person. I'm always the person that tries to pull everyone together and to work out the whole toxic environment and the toxic situations and stuff like that. And I've been doing that since I was in the military. So and in the military was when I first started really doing that because it's like I always push peace and push and try to push joy and to just make everybody live like happy and healthy lives and push self-love and the importance of it and the importance of knowing your worth and your value and stuff like that.
So you found a way through your situation,
Hmm.
found a way to cope with it, and had your experience. Did you see any other soldiers who were gay that had a harder time than you did?
Yes, actually, I've housed some of them that were going through a more difficult time because they were being bullied and harassed and picked on and things like that. So it's like I allowed them to stay with me for like about I think it was like 2 months or whatever, and I was kind of like basically coaching them and giving them advice and trying to build up their self-esteem because they had like their self-esteem was shot basically. So afterwards we actually became like really really close and really really good friends and we're still friends now. So if I see somebody like that who I know is gay, I will always try to help them and try to give them advice because I know everybody doesn't have such a thick skin, like I do. Because and I thank my parents for that really and for and my family because even when I was younger I had family members like my sister felt like she had to protect me because I had family members that wanted to kind of physically harm me for me being the way that I was because they looked at me as the embarrassment of the family. Just because I was how I was. So it's like it's crazy to me that now, after I didn't served with the military and stuff, those same people who would look at me as an embarrassment when I was younger is telling their kids, "Oh, you should do what Marvin did. You should join the military. You should go and get a degree and things like that." Like they talk about my life to their children. So and then I think that's just because I make vision boards. Like I always knew the path that I wanted to go on, and I was not going to let any type of distraction or anybody steer me from the path that I wanted to go on. Even though I am the way that I am, I always try to do things that's right in the eyes of God. Um, and it's the fact that I don't let distractions deter me from my path or whatever is something that I pride myself on.
So you've seen other gay service members go through a lot worse than you went through.
Hmm.
Do you
And
have a specific story that comes to mind without naming names, obviously? A specific story that comes to mind that you want people to hear and realize what how bad it can get for a gay service member?
yes, I've had somebody who was actually raped. Um, when they were deployed in a tent, which everybody was working and stuff like that, but they were raped and yeah. They were raped and they told me about it and things like that and they was basically telling me how they don't feel comfortable like really taking showers because it's like an open bay shower and they have like a whole bunch of it's like about 30 it was like 30 people that could fit in the shower or whatever and they would basically tell me how self-conscious they were and I don't even think that they reported the fact that they were that happened that incident happened to them but they would basically tell me how they would have difficulties taking showers and things and actually, one of the things that I would do is when they had to take a shower and stuff, like I would go with them to the showers and, I was just shower in the stall next to them or whatever, just so that they have somebody there. And I would always talk with them and I would try to interact with them as much as I can. But yeah, it was a lot of stuff that was going on when we were deployed. All that stuff happened. Most of the bad stuff in terms of like the homosexuality and stuff would happen when I was deployed, like around me.
So when you
So
were back at your home station, your duty station, it wasn't as bad.
it wasn't as bad. No, it's just like I don't know what it is with like deploying, but I guess it's people away from their family and I don't know, they feel like they're safe to let their shadow side come out when, they get deployed. But when I'm stateside, it wasn't really a problem. But it's like when we were deployed, that's when I would see like other people, like I would have people hit on me too, like and flirt with me and everything like that when they were like away from their family. But then when we're stateside, oh, nothing ever happened. Like, and I would go into their office and I see pictures of their kids and then their wives and everything like that. So but my goal, my thing for getting the reason why I got out the military was because I just felt like I was wasting my life in a way because I was the same rank for like about 4 years. And it's like I felt like I was wasting my time. And me knowing what I know now, I was like I should have just stayed in, but I'm still successful getting out than when I was in. I'm more successful getting out than when I was in. But I was like I wish I would have stayed in longer because I was just in for 8 years. So yeah,
You
I
were
just
almost
don't like
halfway
my.
to a retirement.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I just really, really, even now, I don't like having my time. I don't like feeling like my time was wasted. And then I had things happen, like when I went to my promotion board. I remember, I remember, I did really good, but they promoted somebody else, and the person that they promoted over me was diagnosed as being schizophrenic, and I felt some type of way. So I was like, what? And then for me, they was like, oh, well, we didn't promote you because you didn't have that much promotion points. Like you need to go to college and things. And I remember I tried to I tried to go to college when I was deployed, and that did not work because we were getting attacked so much. And it's like I couldn't focus on my studies, and I ended up failing the class and things like that. So I didn't get my bachelor's degree until I got out of the military, and because I could focus. And it's like people be talking about, oh, you're doing a little job like such as HR, but the job it's very, very demanding. And it's something that has to be done because I'm like, we're taking care of so much people. So I was like, don't think that just because somebody is like, oh, they're just doing your awards. We're the reason why, you could retire on time. We're the reason why you can get your awards. We're the reason why you can go to your other duty station and stuff like that. So I was like, what we're doing is important. It's just in a different way. And then I was like also at duty stations with infantrymen. Like it was times where I had to teach the local Iraqis how to do their per stat and things. And I had to be in a room with about like 15 of them and I had to teach them how to do per stat. So I was like, we do get our little experiences and things like that being in HR as well.
So you say you got out of the military because you felt like you could do more outside of the military.
Yes. And I felt like I was wasting like my time was just like I was just there at the same rank year after year after year. And I was like, instead of me doing this, I can get out and I could still do HR, but maybe I'll go further if I was to get out. And I actually did end up going further. Because I was like, and I knew that that would happen. It's like you have to have faith too, because I have a lot of faith in God. And it's like if I don't give up on myself. So I was like, I knew that, if I got out, I would go further. I just didn't know that it'd be as far as I am today because I was like, I done built a house and I didn't made it so that way, if I have a friend in the military that's like going on hard times and stuff like that, I could have them stay with me until they build themselves up. So that way, they can be where they want to be in their life because that's what I'm doing right now. So yeah, it's like I always use the whole pushing peace and motivation and success thing. I always use that, and I feel like that's my purpose in life, and it's something that I'll always continue to do. So I was like, and I feel like God always has my back. So it doesn't matter if I'm in the military or if I'm out the military, just so long as I choose to do right by God and I do things that are morally right, I feel like I'm always going to be protected.
Okay. So what do you want people to understand about what it was like when don't ask, don't tell went away?
Uh, honestly, I
How
don't
did
really
you
think it
feel?
was that, huh?
How did you feel? Were you excited that it was changing or what?
I I honestly didn't see much of a difference because it didn't make that much of a difference to me because I was always the way that I am. Like what before it was when it was active, when it wasn't active, I was always the way that I am. And it's like I'm kind of a private person, so I'm not somebody that's gonna just throw it in your face like, "Oh, I'm this way" or whatever. Like I'm gonna keep it to myself. But if you ask me, then I'm gonna let you know or whatever. So for me, it didn't really do anything because and I knew a lot of people that were gay in the military when don't ask, don't tell was a thing. It was just that they weren't able to express themselves and, be out there and tell everybody. But that's just how I normally am. I'm a private person. So for me, it didn't really make a difference.
Do you think soldiers now have a harder time, easier time, or just a different struggle?
I just feel like it's the same thing, but it's just period like in life that they will probably have like a hard time if they're not comfortable with themselves and how they are. I don't think because like if they're out the military, it's still gonna be homophobic people. If you're in the military, it's gonna be homophobic people everywhere. It's just the if you have self-love and you know who you are and you love yourself or whatever, then it will be nothing for you and you could do anything that you want. You just have to have that drive and the ambition to do it.
Okay. So you say you're still in HR, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're still
Yep.
working for the government. Do you have a GS job now?
Yes, I'm a GS 13. I'm a human resource specialist.
Thir-
Still.
That's a decent paycheck at a 13.
Yeah, I work in DC. So I actually work near the National Monument and the African American Museum. So I've worked at the Department of Agriculture, I've worked at the Department of Energy, I've worked at the Ronald Reagan building, I've worked all over in DC. I've worked at Homeland Security. So yeah.
So in a way, you're still serving your country. You might not be wearing a green uniform, but you're still serving.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like the military will always stay with you no matter what branch you're in. Um and I feel like especially me working for the Department of Energy and the Department of Agriculture, and the Ronald Reagan Building, or USAID. um I feel like it'll always be with you. So
So is that why you decided to stay with government work is to continue serving?
yes, and I plan on also going into business for myself. But even when I do that, I'm still gonna be working for the government because I just feel like my purpose here is to help people and to motivate people and inspire people as much as I can. And the business that I want to start is a clothing line that's geared towards big and tall men because I'm 6'5".
You can't tell that
So
on screen, I'll tell you that.
yeah, yeah, you can't tell when I'm sitting, but but I'm 6'5", so it's very difficult for me to find like, especially like dress pants and my stuff, because I have a 34-inch waist, but my length is about I think 37, and it's very I have to order all my clothes. I just want to have like a nice store that has multiple locations that is just known for having big and tall clothes, but I want to do like a business casual type of thing. So that way, like a lot of suits and a lot of jackets and shoes and things like that.
That'll
So
fit somebody your size.
in the DC area too, I want to have one of the locations and in Virginia especially. So
Okay.
yeah. And my thing is just the fear. That's what I have to, the fear of losing money.
Oh, trust me, I
Is
understand.
the is the thing.
I went from being a television reporter. Now that doesn't make a lot of money.
Hmm.
There was kindergarten teachers at their first job in our market that was making more than I was after being on camera for several years.
Oh wow.
So it was a service job. It was a sacrifice job trying to serve my community,
Mm.
and doing that, uh, working right here next to Fort Cavazos, I spent a lot of time on post. I spent a lot of time getting to know and understand the military, to tell those stories. And I had a
Mhm.
running segment called Faces of Fort Cavazos that ran for a few years. Um, and I got to hear stories like yours, but I was only able to tell them in a minute and a half to 2 minutes.
No.
So
Good luck with that.
oh, you can go back. They're still online. You can check them out. Very abbreviated version.
Yeah.
But to have a conversation like this, to hear your story, to hear what you experienced, what you went through, what you saw, the way you were able to help a lot of other gay service members and still do that.
It
It,
wasn't even just the gay service members too. It was service members in general because like I said, I've interacted with some people who were suicidal, like, and they would always tend to like, especially when I was in Fort Drum.
it's
They
cold.
would always tend to put me as soon as someone, like one time they made somebody they like try to punish someone and they was like drop like do push-ups and she started crying, right? And then she started like freaking out and they was like, Marvin, go talk to her. And I was like, why me? Like
The gentle
but
giant.
she you're right. And then she ended up actually being one of my closest friends, and I still talk to her to this day. And she was like actually older than me because at the time I was like 26, and I think she was like right at the age I think she was like 35 at the time. She was like right at the age, the oldest you could be to get in the military at the time. And I was just like, why do they always put me with people who are going through things and stuff. And then I thought about it and I was like, oh, it's because, I know how to, I'm compassionate and I know I'm kind of empathic. And it's like I know how to talk to people. And they can tell that, when I'm giving them advice, I'm being honest and it's coming from, a good place and I have good intentions on what I'm saying.
So you brought up that you want to start a clothing line. You're still working for the government. You
Yeah.
you've got tenants in your house. What do you want people to understand about who you are today?
Who am I today is somebody who have just learned a lot of lessons. And I've went through like a whole bunch of negative times, but I also know how to turn my negative times into positive and transmute the energy. And I've grown so much than I was when I was about 21 when I first joined into the military. And I feel like life is just a lesson period, right? But I was like, I feel like I've gained all those negative times and people being homophobic towards me and all of that stuff. It did nothing but just caused me to be even more driven and more ambitious to succeed. And I was like, you can see that by even though people often tell me they're like, "Oh, you're doing so well and you're so successful." I feel in my head that I have not even started yet on the success that I want to achieve. And it's like all of that negativity, it just gave me drive and motivation to be even more successful and to leave a footprint on this earth. So I just was like, if you're going through something and you're going through problems or whatever, just know that it's gonna be okay and you just have to develop kind of like a tough skin and you have to demonstrate self-love. You have to practice self-love. And because at the end of the day, nobody I feel loves you more than God, and it should be yourself, and then everybody else comes. So, yeah, that's what when people talk about me, I just want them to talk about somebody who went through a lot, but also knows how to take all of the negativity that they went through and turn it into something positive.
Now, a couple things that you mentioned it a couple times that your military service changed the way your family sees you.
Hmm. Yeah, because now they're like, oh, Marvin has done so much and, he's done things that, I wouldn't even do or I would be afraid to do in terms of like joining the military because I remember my sister, like I told you, she was in the military first. She went in the military before me. And I went to Fort Jackson and she used to, I don't know why she had me watching movies like Jarhead and Full Metal Jacket. They call Fort Jackson Relaxing Jackson. Okay. but, but she had me watch a movie, and I was like, "Oh my God, what I'm about to experience!" And I was like, I remember when I got on the bus, and the drill sergeant came on, and she was like, "Welcome to Hell, boys." And it's like all of the experience that I went through in my family and stuff with the whole, them talking to their kids or them being kind of verbally abusive to their children. It's like when I was in basic training, it's like I was laughing when they were smoking people because I was like, I would see it like every day that I would, of course, get smoked. So, so, but yeah, it's like certain things like that, and just to hear them. Like I just found out that my Jamaican family members in Connecticut will tend to talk about me to their kids and stuff. I just found that out about like 3 weeks ago when my cousin reached out to me and let me know, hey, I tell, my son about you and about your story. And then I have like cousins and stuff come to me asking me if, they can send their kid to come stay with me so that way I can inspire them and motivate them to make something of themselves. And I just be like, no, that's not gonna work because it's gonna be 2 weeks and I'm gonna send them right back to you because I'm just gonna get frustrated. So, but thank you. This is sweet that you reached out and you said that. But yeah,
I'm
it's
not the
just
motivation camp. Don't send them to me.
right because you just gonna stress me out. I didn't when I'm almost 40 now. I'll be 40 in March, and I'm like I didn't did very well. I'm not trying to be stressed no more. But it's touching to see that I have family and even friends that's older than me that will be like you're so inspirational and you should write a book and things and all of that. It's very touching and I appreciate it.
Well, you have a unique story in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, I haven't even went into depth about the family situation. I'm gonna write a book. That's the number two. I'm gonna write a book.
Well, right now, I mean, you've got a platform right here.
Yeah.
People understand because not only were you a gay soldier, you knew you were at a young age. You came out to your parents at a young age. And there's a lot of kids out there struggling to this day, wondering if it's okay to come out to their families. What advice do you have for those young teenagers or those young soldiers about, from your perspective, that might help them?
Well, for me, and being in a Jamaican household, it's just that once again, I've said this probably like 6 times, but self-love is very important because at the end of the day, you need to love yourself to, well, I had to love myself enough to be like, to be okay with, oh, my parents not accepting, that I am this way, right? Um, because I was like, it's not gonna, my views, I was like, I knew that my views was not going to change. I knew that it was something that was outside of the norm, you know. And I tried to change it throughout my life when I was a teenager, and it's like it never changed. So, um, I would just say, oh, that's a hard question. Because it's like for me, it's just like I knew how I was because from like the age of 9 to like the age of 14, I was like, okay, this is the way that I am. But then I spent another 2 years to kind of build myself up and to build up my self-love to before, I came out and I expressed who I was to my parents. But in order for me to do that, I had to be comfortable with the fact that, hey, they may disown me. Like I had to think about the consequences before, I did that when I was a teenager. Like what is the worst thing that can happen? So I was like, maybe I would tell them to wait, wait till they're at the point where they I don't know what to say. I would say wait till you're at the point where you have a source to go to or you can take care of yourself before because I'm like if the worst case scenario happens and they do decide to turn their back on you, then what? And that happens a lot, like with kids that come out and and say and with the homosexuality and that's how they develop things like their gay families and things and you have like the gay mother and the gay father and stuff that take the place of like your actual parents because your parents just decided to turn their back on you and stuff like that. So the only thing that I really can say is just to try to build up your self-love and to love yourself and accept yourself and how you are. And it's like once you get that strength, whether you come out today or you come out tomorrow or whatever, it's not gonna make you'll come out when you're ready, once you get that strength. So yeah.
So what do you got going? What's coming up next for you?
In terms of, like what do you mean?
Are you getting ready to get your clothing line started?
Oh, so next year,
Promote yourself real quick. Let's see what you got.
actually, I'm gonna start modeling too. And I say all the time on Facebook, I be having to warn them because I'm like, y'all about to see, y'all gonna see some pictures, okay? Because I was like, I've been networking in the DC area, and I was like, I have connections now, and it's like my family being Jamaican and stuff. I was like, I know a lot of them are not going to be happy with what they are about to see, but I don't care. I'm gonna do it anyway because the only thing that happens is I'm getting older as the days go on. So it's like if you have any kind of goals or anything that you want to do, like I make vision boards all the time. That's how I got my house. I made a vision board and put obtainable steps to get to the end goal. So I worked on my debt and everything like that. I'm doing the same thing with I want to model. I was like I want to and I want to start a clothing line. I was like I'm even writing music and things like that. Like it's stuff that I always wanted to do that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start next year because I was like since I'm turning 40, why not?
That's kind of how
So And so I was like, you're and then that's another thing, like just with your age or whatever. I'm like, just don't let your age stop you from, oh, like I'm too old to do this because I'm this age or whatever. No, don't let that stop you. Just do what I'd rather do something and then fail at it than have like a decade pass by and be like, I wish I would have did that like a decade ago, or I wish I would have tried this or whatever. I'd rather try and fail at it than say I wish, right? So that's what I'm gonna do next year. I'm gonna do a lot in terms of my clothing line and in terms of modeling. Modeling will be easy because a lot of people come to me already and they think that I'm in my 20s, and when I tell them my actual age, they're like, "What?" So I was like, I think that'll be easy. It's just the clothing line that I'm focused on, and I also want to start a candle company too because I want to make high intensity high intensity candles that could like smell up your whole house. Because I feel like my sister, she likes going to what is it Bed Bath, is it Bath and Body Works. She goes there and she gets all these candles and she can't smell them to save her life, bless her heart. But but she really loves candles, and I was like, I love candles too. So I was like, I want to create like a high intensity candle that can smell up your whole house, and I want to have an actual store built to sell them. Because just me and my sister, well, just my sister, I know they'll probably stay in business. So yeah, I have a lot of things that I want to do, but it's just like it's just me getting over the fear of losing money because I do not like to lose money, but I feel like in order to get it, you have to kind of lose it. It'll come back to you. You just have to not give up on yourself.
Well, I'm 38, almost 39, and I left being a reporter. I'm trying to do this, trying to get
Yeah.
back to our service members. Again, I'm not a veteran, and I'm wearing this shirt out of honor for the calf because I am here in Killeen, Texas.
Oh, really? You in Killeen?
Yeah.
You know, Killeen, my tire popped when I was in Killeen, and I swear three hookers came from each side. I was like, wow, I
Yeah,
don't feel safe.
it's got
Okay.
it's got a reputation, but it is, it's Fort Cavazos. You can see air cab from my front door. You can see
Hmm.
the Apaches. So, um,
Do you guys still have? I used to stay at these apartments that was right outside the gate. I think it was called Independence Place. You
there's
guys still have those apartments?
there's a lot of apartments around here. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes outside the gate.
yeah.
Um,
I
but
literally live
yeah.
right outside one of the gates.
Hmm.
So do you have a final message while I still have you to your fellow service members and veterans out there?
Um, yeah, just if you're going through something, just make sure try to find an outlet to like somebody where you can talk to. Just don't hold the stuff inside. Don't try to sweep stuff under the rug. It's important that you just talk to somebody or see if you can find the outlet and to vent to get out your frustrations and your feelings and things like that because I've seen a lot of that too. Like, and then people, it'll affect people, and they'll develop kind of PTSD, and it'll make their conditions even worser. So, yeah, just make sure if you're going through things, be it harassment or bullying or stuff, you try to find somebody and you try to talk to somebody to express yourself and just to get it out as much as you can.
Well, Marvin, thank you for coming on the podcast. I appreciate you. Thank you for
I
sharing.
appreciate you too.
It's important to share as much experiences, especially for those that either have too much pride or they're struggling or unable for some reason to talk to somebody, giving them something to listen to and helping some of the people who've never been around the military kind of understand the experience from as many perspectives as possible. Because I think that this can really help a lot of people both understand and get through tough situations. You know,
Yeah,
it's
because
important. It's important.
yeah, because I noticed that a lot of the times, like when I have a brother, well, ex-brother-in-law, and I noticed that a lot of the times he says, because he has PTSD and he's bipolar, and I think he has ADHD, and it's like a lot of the times he'll say stuff like, oh, nobody knows how I feel or nobody knows my situation. And so it's like I always try to make sure that, I can talk to him and so he feels like he has somebody in his corner to vent to and to talk to. So yeah, it's just important to find somebody. And it's difficult because it's just really difficult to find people like that. And that's why I kind of view myself as somebody that is rare. Because it's hard. It seems like it's hard to find people that's like genuine and authentic and has good intentions nowadays. So yeah, just they're out there though. You just have to search, but they're out there.
Yeah. And that's one reason why I started Life and Service, to help people
Yeah.
understand, again, life and service.
Yeah.
I got the logo back there. Um, but again, thank you, Marvin. I appreciate you. And guys, everybody, Marvin Pearson is just one of many people who have served, one of many gay people who have served. And he was willing to come here and share his experience, which is not an easy thing to do. So hopefully one of you guys out there will hear his story and it will help you get through whatever situation you're going through. So be sure to follow us on Facebook, on on TikTok. We're going to be on X soon. We're going to be on as many platforms as we can, because the more we get these stories out there, the more it can help somebody and help civilians understand life and service, help those other service members that might be struggling. But the only way we're going to get these stories out is if you help us. So thanks again. I'm Adam Schindler, your host. This is Life and Service Podcast. Listen, share, stream. Help us get those messages out there.